There is a voice that speaks to you every single day, not in the way you might expect, not as a booming command or a whisper in the wind, but in subtle, powerful ways that are always present. The question is, are you listening? One of the greatest misunderstandings is the belief that divine guidance is something rare or reserved for a select few. The truth is, God speaks to you constantly. He does so through love, through intuition, through the very breath that flows in and out of your body. And when you become still enough, when you quiet the noise of doubt, you'll realize that you've been receiving messages all along. The first way He speaks to you is through your inner knowing, that quiet pull, that deep, unshakable feeling that something is either right for you or not. It's not random. It's not just a thought. It's divine wisdom moving through you, guiding you toward the life you were meant to live. Trust it. When something feels aligned, when it feels like home, that's God's voice reminding you that you're on the right path. Then there's the power of synchronicity, those moments that seem too perfectly timed to be coincidences. You think of someone and they call you. You feel lost and a message appears in a book, a song, or a stranger's words that answers exactly what you needed to hear. These are not accidents. The universe is orchestrated in a way that ensures you are always being guided. Pay attention to the signs. They are everywhere. God also speaks to you through silence. We often think that answers must come through noise, through external validation, but the greatest wisdom is found in stillness. When you sit in the quiet, when you surrender the need to control everything, that's when truth rises within you. The silence is not empty, it is full of divine presence. And then there's the voice of love itself. Every act of kindness, every moment of compassion, every time you feel moved to lift someone else up, that is God speaking through you. Love is not separate from divinity. It is divinity in motion. When you feel the pull to be more loving, more forgiving, more understanding, that's God's way of leading you back to your true nature. Another way He reaches you is through challenges. It's easy to feel connected when things are going well, but what about when life feels heavy? What about the moments of uncertainty, loss, or struggle? These are not punishments, they are awakenings. They are reminders that even in the darkness, you are being held. Growth happens in these moments. They are part of the divine plan, nudging you towards something greater than you could have imagined. And then there are dreams and whispers of inspiration, that idea that excites you, that vision that won't leave your heart. Where do you think that comes from? Inspiration is divine communication. It is the universe reminding you of what is possible. When you feel called towards something, don't ignore it. That calling is God's way of leading you to your purpose. Finally, and perhaps most powerfully, God speaks through gratitude. Every time you take a moment to appreciate this life, to feel the gift of simply being here, you are in direct connection with the divine. Gratitude shifts your energy, aligns you with love, and opens you up to receive even more. When you begin to see everything, even the small, simple moments, as part of the miracle, you realize that God has been speaking to you all along. So today, take a breath, slow down, listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, your soul, and your entire being, because the voice of God is not something you have to find. It's something that has been within you this entire time. There is a voice within you that speaks with clarity, a deep knowing that has always been present. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply is. A quiet whisper in your heart, a feeling that something is either right or not. You felt it before, that unshakable sense of certainty when you just know something is meant for you, even when there's no logical reason. That gentle resistance when something feels off, even if everything on the outside says it should make sense. This is not just instinct. It is not just a fleeting thought or an emotional reaction. It is the voice of divine wisdom moving through you. It is the part of you that is connected to something far greater than the mind can comprehend. And yet, so often, we doubt it, we ignore it, we second-guess asking for proof, waiting for signs, seeking validation from the world around us, when all along the answers have been within. Why do we hesitate to trust what we already know? It's because we have been conditioned to believe that truth must come from outside of us, from experts, from authority figures, from logic, reason, and analysis. But real truth, the kind that resonates in the depths of your soul, is not found in books, statistics, or someone else's opinion. It is felt, it is lived, it is experienced. Every time you have listened to this inner knowing, you have been led exactly where you were meant to be. Think about the moments in your life when you followed that feeling, despite fear, despite doubt. Maybe it was a decision to walk away from something that no longer served you. Maybe it was a risk you took that didn't make sense to anyone else, but deep down you knew it was right. Maybe it was something as simple as turning left instead of right, meeting a person who would change your life forever. You are always being guided, not by chance, but by an intelligence that sees beyond what your eyes can perceive. This is divine wisdom speaking through you, reminding you of your path. And yet, so often, we override it. We let fear interfere. We let doubt silence what was once so clear. But here's the truth. This voice doesn't go away. It doesn't abandon you. It simply waits. It waits for you to get quiet enough to hear it again. It waits for you to trust yourself enough to follow it. The more you listen, the stronger it becomes. The more you trust, the clearer the path ahead reveals itself. And when you start living this way, when you make choices not from fear but from faith in that inner guidance, life begins to flow in a way that no longer feels forced. There is an ease, a grace, a natural unfolding of events that align perfectly, because that's what happens when you stop resisting the truth that was within you all along. But how do you recognize this voice when the mind is loud, when fear disguises itself as logic, when doubt convinces you to stay small? You begin by paying attention, by noticing how your body responds when something is right versus when something is not. Truth feels light, expansive, effortless. Doubt feels heavy, restrictive, uncertain. Truth doesn't argue, it simply exists. When you align with it, you feel peace, even if the decision is difficult. When you resist it, you feel tension, even if staying where you are seems safe. This is the wisdom that God has placed within you, not outside of you, not in someone else's hands, but deep in the core of your being. And every time you honor it, you strengthen your connection to the divine. So today, choose to listen. Choose to trust. Because the answers you seek are not hidden. They have been speaking to you all along, waiting for you to believe in what you already know. There are no accidents in this universe. Everything unfolds with divine precision, even when we don't immediately see it. Life has a way of orchestrating events in such a perfect rhythm that, if we pay attention, we realize we are always being guided. The right people show up at the right time. The answers we seek appear in unexpected places. Doors open exactly when they need to, and yet, so often, we dismiss these moments as coincidences, as random occurrences, but they are not random. They are synchronicities, divine messages placed in our path to remind us that we are never alone. Think about those moments in your life when something felt too perfectly timed to be chanced. Perhaps you were thinking about an old friend, and just as you were about to reach out, your phone rang and it was them. Maybe you had been struggling with a question, uncertain of which direction to take, and then, in a conversation with a stranger, in the lyrics of a song, in a passage from a book you weren't even planning to read, the answer appeared. These are not accidents. This is the universe aligning with you, speaking to you in a language beyond words. But in order to recognize these messages, you must be willing to see them. You must be open to the idea that life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. That every event, every encounter, every delay, every redirection is part of a greater plan. And the more aware you become of these synchronicities, the more you start to see that they are happening all the time. They are not rare occurrences, they are constant. It's just that most of us are too distracted, too skeptical, too caught up in our own thoughts to notice. When you begin to trust in this divine timing, something shifts. Instead of forcing outcomes, instead of trying to control every step, you start allowing. You move with life instead of against it. You stop questioning whether things are unfolding the way they should, and instead embrace the idea that they always are. You start seeing that the delays you once resented were actually protections, that the opportunities you lost were never meant for you, that the struggles you faced were setting you up for something far greater than you could have planned. And when you surrender to this, when you embrace the idea that there is an intelligence far beyond what the mind can comprehend, guiding every step, life begins to flow in miraculous ways. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. You meet people who feel like they were sent to you for a reason, because they were. The perfect opportunity arises just when you need it most, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. This is how the divine works, not through loud proclamations or obvious signs, but through the subtle weaving of events that, when looked at closely, reveal a masterpiece of synchronicity. And when you trust in this, when you stop resisting, doubting, and questioning every detail, you find peace. You no longer live in anxiety over what's next, because you understand that what's meant for you will never miss you. You no longer chase, because you realize that what is truly yours is already on its way. So start paying attention. Start noticing the little moments that feel like more than just chance. Start acknowledging the ways in which life is guiding you, even in ways you don't yet understand, and most of all, trust, because you are being led always by something far greater than you can see. In a world filled with noise, distraction, and endless movement, it's easy to believe that answers must come through more effort, more searching, more doing, but the truth is the most profound guidance doesn't come through the noise. It comes through the silence. It's in the stillness, in the quiet spaces between thoughts, that the divine speaks most clearly. Yet so many people spend their lives running from that silence, filling every moment with activity, seeking external validation, hoping to find answers outside of themselves. But real wisdom is not found in the chaos. It is not in the endless thinking, analyzing, or over-explaining. It is in the stillness. It is in the space where the mind settles and the soul can finally be heard. How often do we seek solutions, asking for clarity, begging for signs, while never allowing ourselves to be quiet enough to receive them? We say we want direction, yet we drown it out with distractions. We say we want to feel connected, yet we avoid the very silence that allows for that connection. But the truth is, silence is not empty. It is full of insight, full of presence, full of divine wisdom that has been waiting for us all along. And when you allow yourself to sit in that space, when you let go of the need to fill every moment with external noise, something incredible happens. The mind slows, the anxious thoughts begin to fade, and in that stillness you hear the whispers of truth that were always there. You realize that the guidance you were looking for wasn't missing. It was simply buried beneath the constant movement of your thoughts. But silence requires trust. It requires patience. It requires you to surrender the idea that answers must come instantly, that every problem must be solved immediately. Silence is where you meet yourself, beyond the mind's chatter, beyond the fears, beyond the doubts. It is where you connect with something deeper, something that is not influenced by the outside world, and that connection is where true wisdom is found. When you embrace silence, you begin to see life differently. You no longer react to every passing thought. You no longer feel the need to control every outcome. You begin to trust that you are being guided, not through force, but through presence. And in that presence, in that quiet awareness, the answers arrive. Not always as words, not always as logical conclusions, but as a deep inner knowing, as a sense of peace, as an understanding that cannot be explained, only felt. This is why so many of the greatest spiritual teachers, the most enlightened souls, all speak of the power of stillness. Because it is in stillness that transformation happens. It is in stillness that you realign with your highest self, and when you live from that place, life flows differently. Decisions become clearer. Fear begins to fade. You stop searching outside of yourself for what has been within you all along. But to experience this, you must be willing to step away from the noise, to carve out moments of silence in your day, to let go of the constant need for external validation, and instead turn inward. Even a few moments of stillness, of deep presence, can shift everything, because in those moments you are no longer separate from the divine. You are fully connected to it, and in that connection there is no fear, no confusion, no uncertainty. There is only peace, there is only knowing, there is only the quiet, loving presence of the divine, reminding you that you were never lost, never alone, never without guidance. You simply needed to be still enough to hear it. There is no force in this universe more powerful than love. It is not just an emotion, not just a fleeting feeling. It is the very essence of creation, the language of the divine. Every act of kindness, every moment of compassion, every time you extend understanding to another soul, you are aligning yourself with the highest frequency of existence. You are becoming a vessel through which God speaks, through which the universe moves. So often we complicate spirituality, searching for signs, waiting for grand revelations, hoping for something extraordinary to confirm that we are being guided. But the truth is, guidance has always been with us because love itself is guidance. When you feel moved to comfort someone who is hurting, when you are inspired to forgive, when you choose to act from a place of kindness rather than fear, that is divinity in motion. That is the voice of God, not speaking in words, but through action, through energy, through the invisible thread that connects us all. We live in a world that often encourages separation, us versus them, judgment over understanding, self-preservation over connection. And yet, every time we choose love instead of fear, we break down those walls. We dissolve the illusion of separation. We return to the truth that at our core, we are not different. We are not strangers. We are not meant to walk this path alone. We are here to remind one another through our actions of the love that created us. Think about the times in your life when you have been on the receiving end of this love. A moment when someone showed up for you when you least expected it. A time when a kind word, a gesture, a simple presence reminded you that you were not alone. It wasn't random. It wasn't just a coincidence. It was love moving through another human being, reaching you exactly when you needed it most. And in that moment, you felt it. You felt the undeniable presence of something greater. This is how God speaks, not only to you, but through you. Every time you follow the pull to be more understanding, every time you choose patience over frustration, every time you see someone through the eyes of compassion instead of judgment, you are acting as a messenger of divine love. And in those moments, you are not just helping another person, you are elevating yourself, you are aligning with your truest nature. But love is not just something we give to others, it is something we must extend to ourselves. Because how can we truly share love with the world if we deny it to ourselves? How can we lift others if we do not first recognize our own worth? Love is not meant to be rationed, not meant to be given conditionally. It is meant to flow endlessly in all directions, including inward. So when you hear that inner voice telling you that you are not enough, that you are unworthy, that you must prove yourself to be loved, pause. Recognize that those thoughts are not truth. They are noise. They are the illusions of a world that has forgotten the simple truth that love is not something to be earned. It is something that is already within you because it is what you are made of. And when you begin to live from that place, when you choose to see the divine in yourself, in others, in every moment, something shifts. Life becomes lighter, worry fades, fear loses its grip. Because when you lead with love, you are no longer walking alone. You are moving with the current of the universe, flowing with the same energy that created stars, that breathes life into all things. And in that flow, there is no doubt, no hesitation, no need to search for signs. Because love itself is the sign. It is the message. It is the reminder that no matter where you are, no matter what you are facing, you are deeply connected to something infinite. And that connection will never fade. It will never leave you. Because love is not just something you give or receive. It is something you are. Life has a way of presenting us with challenges, moments of struggle that shake us, disrupt our plans, and make us question everything. We often see these moments as obstacles, as roadblocks in our path, as unfair burdens placed upon us. We resist them. We fight against them. We ask, why is this happening to me? But what if we shifted our perspective? What if, instead of seeing challenges as something meant to break us, we saw them as something designed to awaken us? What if every difficulty, every setback, every painful moment was not a punishment but a calling, an invitation to step into something greater? When you look back on your life, the times of growth were never when things were easy. You didn't evolve when everything was comfortable. You grew through the struggle, through the moments that forced you to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had. Every challenge you have faced has shaped you. It has prepared you for what is ahead. It has stripped away the illusions, the distractions, the false beliefs, and brought you closer to your truth. But in the moment, it's hard to see this. It's hard to trust that the pain has a purpose when you are standing in the middle of it. It's hard to believe that the storm is guiding you when all you can feel is the chaos. And yet, if you look closely, if you quiet the fear, if you lean into the stillness, you will see that even in the darkest moments, something is moving within you. Something is calling you to expand, to rise, to transform. The divine never places a challenge before you without also giving you the strength to overcome it. The struggles that appear in your life are not there to destroy you, but to remind you of your power. They are the push you need to let go of what no longer serves you. They are the signs telling you it's time to change, to grow, to step into the next version of yourself. And when you stop resisting, when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Everything shifts, because the truth is, every challenge holds a lesson. Maybe the difficulty you are facing is teaching you patience or resilience or the power of surrender. Maybe it's showing you that you are stronger than you ever believed. Maybe it's revealing a path that you would have never seen had you stayed where you were. The lesson is always there, waiting to be discovered. But it requires trust. It requires a willingness to look beyond the immediate discomfort and recognize that something greater is unfolding. Think about the moments in your life that at the time felt like the end of the world. The heartbreak, the loss, the failure, the unexpected change. Now with distance you can see that those moments were not endings, they were beginnings. They were turning points that led you to places you never imagined. The relationship that didn't work out taught you how to love yourself. The opportunity that fell through redirected you to something better. The difficulty you thought you would never get through became the very thing that made you who you are today. This is the nature of life. Nothing is happening to you, it is happening for you. Every experience, even the painful ones, are guiding you. They are shaping you, they are awakening you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. And when you stop resisting, when you embrace the challenge instead of fearing it, you step into a new kind of power. You stop seeing life as something you must fight against and start seeing it as something that is always supporting you, even in the moments that feel impossible. So, when challenges arise, when life doesn't go as planned, when you find yourself in a season of struggle, remember this: you are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are being strengthened. You are being guided towards something far greater than you can see right now. Trust in the process, trust in yourself, and most of all, trust that even in the hardest moments, the divine is speaking to you, leading you toward exactly where you are meant to be. There is an invisible thread that connects everything in existence, a universal energy that flows through all things, guiding, creating, and sustaining life. It's the energy that makes the sun rise without fail, that causes flowers to bloom in perfect harmony, that orchestrates the seasons with absolute precision. This energy, this divine force is always present, always available, always working in ways we may not fully understand. And the most beautiful thing, you are not separate from it, you are a part of it. So often, people live as though they are disconnected, as though they are alone, as though life is just a series of random events happening with no purpose. But the truth is, you are never alone. You are always connected to something far greater than yourself. This energy flows through you, speaks to you, and moves you in ways you may not even recognize. It is the source of your inspiration, the pull you feel towards something more, the quiet nudge that tells you when something is right or when it is not. Have you ever had a moment where you just knew something without being able to explain how? Maybe you had a feeling not to take a certain road and later found out there was an to leave accident there. Maybe you felt drawn to reach out to someone only to find that they needed to hear from you at that exact moment. Maybe you had a sudden burst of insight, an idea that felt like it came from nowhere, and it turned out to be exactly what you needed. This is not coincidence. This is divine energy in motion. This is intuition, one of the most powerful ways the universe communicates with you. Intuition is not loud, it does not shout, it does not demand your attention. It is a quiet knowing, a gentle whisper that guides you when you allow yourself to listen. But too often we ignore it. We dismiss it as imagination, as irrational, as something that cannot be trusted. We let the noise of the world, the opinions of others, and the doubts in our own mind override the wisdom that is already within us. But when you start to trust that inner voice, something shifts. You begin to move through life with a different kind of confidence, a different kind of peace. You no longer need all the answers up front. You no longer need every step of the path laid out before you, because you understand that you are being guided not through logic alone, but through something deeper. You realize that the more you listen, the stronger this connection becomes. And this energy is not just speaking to you, it is working through you. Every time you feel inspired, every time you act on a thought that feels divinely placed, every time you follow a path that feels right, even if you cannot explain why, you are aligning with this force. You are allowing yourself to be led. You are stepping into a state of flow where things seem to happen effortlessly, where the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments come into your life with perfect timing. This is not about control. It is not about forcing things to happen. It is about trusting that there is an intelligence far greater than your mind, one that knows the way even when you do not. And when you trust this intelligence, when you surrender the need to have it all figured out, you create space for miracles. You open yourself up to possibilities that your logical mind could never have planned. You stop chasing, stop resisting, stop doubting, and instead you begin to allow. This is the power of divine connection. It is always available to you. It has always been there, waiting for you to recognize it, to embrace it, to trust it. And the more you do, the more you realize that you were never walking this path alone. You were always being led, always being guided, always exactly where you were meant to be. Life is not a series of random events. It is a carefully woven masterpiece filled with signs, whispers, and moments of divine connection that are always guiding you toward your highest self, whether through silence, love, challenges, intuition, or the unseen energy that flows through all things. The divine is always speaking. The question is, are you listening? When you begin to trust this guidance, when you open your heart to the wisdom that is already within and around you, life takes on a new meaning. You stop searching outside for answers that have always been inside. You move with faith instead of fear, with purpose instead of doubt. You begin to see that every experience, good or bad, is leading you somewhere meaningful. And in that trust, you find peace. So as you move forward, remember this: you are never alone. You are always connected, always supported, always being guided by a force greater than yourself. Embrace the signs, listen to the whispers, and trust the journey. May you walk this path with clarity, with love, and with an open heart. May you always recognize the divine presence in your life, guiding you in ways seen and unseen. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for allowing me to share this message with you.